Hello everybody, it's Maikito. We had a great day last video. I'll go over that at the end, but I'm just gonna get straight into the plays just because it's a very large slate. Usually, even when there's a large slate, I still don't go too crazy when it comes to the amount of picks, but I did find a lot that I actually did like, so I'll just get straight into them. My first pick is Ethan Pinnock to go higher than 4.5 clearances, playing at home for Brentford, going up against Southampton. He's gone over in 1 out of 2 games this season. He went over with 5 at home against Palace and under with 2 away to Liverpool. They had to hold the lead versus Palace, which is why he had to go over and try to defend. Then they went down early against Liverpool, so Liverpool weren't attacking as hard as they usually would. They were just focusing on controlling the ball, controlling the pace, weren't really attacking as much as they usually do. He averaged 5.8 clearances in general last season, which is really good. And opposing center backs against Southampton in so far this season, Newcastle center backs had 17, Nottingham Forest had 8, and then Cardiff had 11. So I expect either Southampton to play from behind. I can see Brentford easily scoring first, or it being like a tough defensive game for both teams just because Southampton's relatively good defensively. I don't expect them to score first against Brentford, so if anything, I expect Brentford to score first and then Pinnock having to defend and trying to stop Southampton from tying the game. Pinnock is 6'2" that wins 96% of his aerial duels, so when it comes to him getting the chances, he will win them. It's just whether they find those opportunities. Like I said, I just expect Brentford to not fall behind, which is what I'm relying on. So I like this pick. I like Pinnock to go higher than 4.5 clearances. My next pick is Bernd Leno to go higher than 2.5 saves, playing away from home for Fulham, going up against Ipswich. He's gone over in both games so far this season, 4 away to Manchester United, and then 3 at home versus Leicester City. They were 15th out of 20th. They're bottom 5 away defenses last season, and Ipswich have had literally the worst matchups that they could have had in the first 2 games of the season against Liverpool and against Manchester City. And even then, at home versus Liverpool, they managed to get 2 shots on target, and against City, they managed to get 1 shot on target, which is still good considering the fact that they had to play really tough defenses. And now they're playing Fulham, which is going to be a better defensive matchup for them. They averaged the second most shot on targets in the championship last season with 5.7. So now they have a better matchup at home versus Fulham. Leno averaged 3.53 saves last season with 68.7 save percentage. So you have to do a lot of defensive work for Fulham, and I expect the same for them in this game against Ipswich. I think they're underestimating how good Ipswich is in the attack. They just had 2 tough defensive matchups in the first 2 games, and now they have a better matchup. And Ipswich play with width on the wings off the counter attack, while Fulham are weak at defending the wings, so they're going to have those opportunities. And like I said, I could also expect Fulham to maybe score first and Ipswich having to attack. So I just like this mark. I like Bernd Leno to go higher than 2.5 saves. My next prop is Jose Sa to go higher than 3 saves, playing away from home for Nottingham Forest. Playing away from home for Wolves, going up against Nottingham Forest. He's gone over in 1 out of 2 games. He had 4 away versus Arsenal, and he went under with 2 at home versus Chelsea. But in that game, they conceded 6. So he had 8 chances to make 3 saves, but Chelsea were just putting all their chances away, and he wasn't getting any defensive help. But I don't expect the same thing to happen against Nottingham Forest. When he played them away from home last season, he went over with 7 from 9 shots on target, which is what I expect when it comes to a save percentage in general. And I expect Nottingham Forest to do good this next game. They had 8 shots on target at home versus Bournemouth and 8 shots on target away to Southampton. So and even when they played Newcastle with their bench players in the FA Cup or EFL Cup, whatever it was, they still had 3 on target. And now with their main squad, I expect them to do good. They actually have a pretty decent underrated attack. They added Chris Wood up top, which is good for them. And then they have Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi, Elanga. They have a good attack that is going to be doing good against this Wolves defense that hasn't been doing that good so far this season. They've had a leaky defense so far. So I think at 3 saves is a pretty good mark to take Jose Sa to go higher than 3 saves. My next prop is Guido Rodriguez to go higher than 2 tackles, playing at home for West Ham, going up against City. He's had 2+ in both games so far this season. He had 3 at home versus Villa, and he had 2 away to Palace. And even in the EFL Cup against Bournemouth, he only played 30 minutes, played off the bench, and he had 1. So he does good. He's a good tackler, and now he's playing against the best attack in the league in Man City. He averaged 2.2 tackles in La Liga, and if you look at the defensive midfielders that City have played against on the opposite side, They played United. Casemiro had 7. They played Chelsea. Caicedo had 2, and then they played Morsi, and he had 6. So they defensive midfielders for the opposing teams have to do a lot of defensive work, and I expect the same for Guido Rodriguez. He's a great tackler. He knows his role. I think at 2.0 is a good spot. He knows that Suchek is the box-to-box midfielder. He has Paqueta next to him. He's the more attacking one. So Guido knows that he's going to have to be the defensive one. And against City, it's going to be a really tough task. And he's going to have to be aggressive if he wants to stop this City attack. So I like Guido Rodriguez to go higher than 2 tackles. My next prop is a little safer prop, and that's Erling Haaland to go higher than 3.5 shots on the opposite side for City going up against West Ham. He has gone over in only 1 out of 3 games this season. He had 2 against United and Chelsea, but in this last game against Ipswich, he had 7 at home. And when he played West Ham last season, he both times he went over this mark with 9 shots and 4 shots. And the reason why I like this is because West Ham is not a team that holds possession of the ball especially against these big teams. They like to play defensive, try to play off the counter, try to defend, tire them out, and I expect the same thing in this next game. I do not expect anything to change. He'll have plenty of opportunities. He'll get passes from De Bruyne, Savinho, Doku, Bernardo Silva, Kovacic. He's going to have a lot of service. He just came off a great game, and I don't expect him to at least not shoot in those games. Now, West Ham gave Aston Villa 15 shots, Crystal Palace 14 shots, and Bournemouth 12 shots. So it's not like they're a good defensive team or anything. And now against a much better attack, they're going to give him the ball. He's going to have a lot of chances to take those shots. He averaged 4.26 shots per 90 last season, and I like this prop. He went over against them both times. I like Erling Haaland to go higher than 3.5 shots. My next prop is Samuel Lino to go higher than 1.5 shots, playing away from home for Atletico Madrid, going up against Bilbao. He's gone over in all 3 games this season. He had 3 away to Villarreal, 2 at home versus Girona, and he only played 45 minutes, played 1 half against Espanyol, and still went over with 2. And while you might think this is a tough defensive matchup for those that know ball, and while Bilbao is a good defense, he has a great history against them. He played against them 4 times last season, twice in the league and twice in the Copa del Rey, and he went over in all 4 games. He had 3 shots, 6 shots, 2 shots, and 3 shots, and I think at 1.5 is just too low of a mark. He's an overlapping left wing back, more of the attacking one. He even goes all the way to the right. He's just a great attacker. He's always free. He seems to get a lot of opportunities because they have Griezmann to guard, they have Alvarez to guard. They're going to have a lot of other players that they're going to have to worry about, and he's usually overlooked, and he's going to have plenty of opportunities. And the shots he's taken so far this season, 4 with his right, 2 with his left, and 1 was a header. And if you look at last season, 38 was with his right and 16 was with his left. So he can shoot with either foot if he's given the chance, which is what we like to see. It's a close game. It's going to be a close game. I expect high minutes out of him. He can play up and down the field. He's a good dribbler. He likes to cut on this from the left side to his right and shoot with his right foot. We just need him to do it twice, and I think it's too low of a mark for a player that's gotten over all 3 games. He has good history against them. I think they're underestimating how good he is against a tough defense. I like Samuel Lino to go higher than 1.5 shots. My next prop is Kavica Kvaratskhelia to go higher than 1.5 shots assisted, playing at home for Napoli, going up against Parma. He's gone over in 2 out of 3 games this season. He has 7 at home against Modena. He had 3 at home against Bologna. And in the one where he didn't win over, he only played 45 minutes, and that was against Hellas Verona. He came off the bench. He averaged 2.4 at home in the league, which is a good prop. And against a defense like Parma, I think this is a good prop to take. He's good at sending through balls. He's good at key passes. He's good at doing layouts for players like Politano or Raspadori that they can just take those shots. We just need to do it twice. Parma do not keep possession of the ball, and you know that we like to take shots assisted for a high possession team because that just means they're going to have more opportunities to shoot the ball and more opportunities for him to get those shots assisted. Parma gave Palermo away 13 shots. Fiorentina, who played away as well, had 15 shots, and AC Milan away from home as well, 17 shots. So they have allowed a decent amount of shots to opponents, and they've played only home games. All 3 games have been home games. So now they're playing away from home against Napoli. So I expect Napoli to take a lot of shots, and we just need him to get 2. I think it's a good prop, a good matchup for Kvaratskhelia to go higher than 1.5 shots assisted. And then my last player prop is Rafael Leao to go higher than 2 shots, playing away from home for AC Milan, going up against Lazio. He's gone over in both games so far. He had 7 at home against Torino and 4 away to Parma. He's playing more of an offensive role this season now that Giroud's gone. He's taken a lot more shots, which is what we like to see. He averaged 2.5 shots per 90 last season, but I expect that to go higher. And at 2, I just think you're getting a steal here as well. I know it's Lazio, but I still think you're getting a good prop here. From his shots last season, 48 from inside the box and 22 one from outside the box. So he's willing to take those shots from inside and outside the box. He cuts it on his right from the left, shoots them. It's a good prop to take. He's a great dribbler as well. He can find his own opportunities. And I think that 2.0 is too low of a mark. Lazio have played Venezia and Udinese, and now they have a much tougher matchup. They've had two relatively easier games, and now they play AC Milan, which is a tough game. And I think out of the two flanks that he plays on, he's going to have the easier side. He's going to have Lasari on his side compared to Tavares on the other side, with Pulisic on that side. So he's going to have the easier matchup, so they're going to have to play a lot on his side if they want to try to find the back of the net. So like Rafael Leao to go higher than 2 shots for AC Milan. I want to give a quick shout out to my partner Underdog Fantasy. You can use code Maikito in the description. No match your first deposit up to $100. I also have my YouTube membership for those that are interested. For those that want to get the plays out early before anybody else. As you're watching this, when it goes out public, there's already people that have got it before everyone else. And just in case plays have gotten taken away, they probably already got them. And it's also a great way to support the channel if you're interested in doing that as well. I also have my Cashapp, my Fliff, my PrizePicks if you want to use those. And I really appreciate anybody who supports me in any way. Like I mentioned before, it is a very large slate and there's a lot of money lines potentials to go through, but a lot of the games could go either way. Draw potentials, which I don't like taking because those are just way too unpredictable. So I found a couple bankroll builders that you can take. It's just pretty self-explanatory. First one is Arsenal at home versus Brighton. Arsenal is just a much better team. Brighton is a good team, but I do expect Arsenal to take the win against Brighton. Like City away to West Ham, they beat them both times last season. City is just City, and West Ham is also a decent team, but they're no match for City. They're going to have plenty of opportunities. And then I like Barcelona at home versus Valladolid. They've won all 3 games so far this season, and Valladolid is going to be no match again for Barcelona. So those are just 3 bankroll builders you can take. You can put them all together. You can add them into your own parlays, whatever you want to do. My next normal pick that I have is the Stuttgart moneyline against Mainz. They won 13 out of 17 home games last season, and they tied against Leverkusen full time until they went to penalties. They lost 3-1 to Freiburg, which was unfortunate for them, and then they won 0-5 in the Pokal versus Preußen. And I just think they're underestimating how good Stuttgart is. They did have a bad game against Freiburg, but that was away from home. But now they're playing at home where they're much better at. They did lose Gurasi, but they still have a lot of players that even when Gurasi was injured for a lot of that season, and even then they were picking up those wins, and they still have those same players with Undav, Futrich, and Milot. And they did pick up Demirovic from Werder Bremen, who had 24 goals and assists in 33 games. So they had a good pickup with him, and I think their attack is still pretty good. And against Mainz, I expect them to pick up the win. Mainz were a bottom 5 defense away in the league, and I think it's a good matchup. They beat them in both games last season, 3-1, both home and away. So I see you getting good value here. They're underestimating how good this Stuttgart team is. They're still a good team, and I like the matchup. So I like the Stuttgart money line against Mainz. Quickly going over last video's picks. Like I mentioned, it was a great thing. That's because we absolutely swept the board. Went 4-0 on player props, had 1 money line. That one hit as well. Milinkovic Savic higher than 2.5 saves hit by halftime. Mets higher than 0.5 tackles was a bit of a sweat, but he did come through in the end. Like I said, higher than 2 shots, they were down, so they had to keep him in to shoot, and he came through for us. He had 3 as well. Adebayo higher than 2.5 shots. He had 2. Another one where they started losing, so he had to shoot, and he took that shot as well. And then the Inter Milan money line, they absolutely destroyed Atalanta. That was a great prop. Swept the board. Hopefully we can carry that momentum into tomorrow's large slate. I'm going to try to add more plays. I didn't add them in last video. That's because I had to work, and I do also have to work tomorrow, so I can try to maybe add more added plays when I can, but don't expect it just because, like I said, I have to work, and I don't want to get distracted too much. So I'll try to watch the games when I can. Hopefully we have another great day. For those that don't know, I have a Discord in the description, totally free if you want to join, where people chat during the games, talk about their own plays, talk about their own slips. So it's a great community that I'm building over there, completely free. If you want to join, it's in the description. Could please like the video, comment as well, help boost the algorithm. 2 more people get that video out. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good night, a good day, and we can cash out tomorrow.